Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Friday, August 26th, and this is the MLB DFS video for today. So in today's video, we'll be going over a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out. Talking about my core plays for today's slate. It is a 14-game main slate overall, and then going over to my article over at WeBetATS.com and talking about my top GPP stacks for today as well. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. At the pitcher position, we went with Kevin Gausman. $10,500. Unfortunately, only got to 21 points yesterday, so he was a miss. The four other starts that he's had against the Boston Red Sox this year, he had a minimum of 42 points. On average, he was getting about 52 points in those starts. So just kind of unfortunate that it did not work out for him yesterday. I was really between him and Aaron Nola yesterday. Aaron Nola was the big 70-point performance yesterday. He was in my cheat sheet as well. So if you went with him in some of your lineups, you kind of salvaged your day a little bit there as well. Then after we had the Alec Baum news that he was not starting, I moved over to first baseman Rhys Hoskins at $3,200. Unfortunately, he got 0 points yesterday, so he was a miss as well. Then we had his teammate at $2,800 of Gene Segura. He ended up with 3 points, so he ended up being a push yesterday. Not anybody that really helped your lineup, but not anybody that really killed your lineup at the same time. Then in the outfield, we had Cedric Mullins at $3,100. Got to 9.2 points, so a solid day from him once again, so I had to give him a hit. And then last but not least, probably the best play on the entire slate out of my core picks was Gavin Sheets at $2,300. Got to 15.2 points, so he was a hit. And a pretty decent play overall. I think he was the fifth first baseman if you played him there, or if you play him in the outfield, I think he was number 7 there as well. So pretty solid play all around, no matter which position you played him at. So unfortunately, it was a little bit of a down day yesterday. If you went with Aaron Nola and somebody else, like instead of Rhys Hoskins, and kind of paid off that way, probably did pretty good. If you got lucky with some other hitters, you still had a small chance of catching yesterday, but just a kind of unfortunate day overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to the core picks for today. So I'm going to start off by saying that today's slate is very interesting. It's a large 14-game slate. There's a lot of good pitchers pitching today, so they're mainly good matchups as well. So there's a lot of different pitchers you could look at today, and then some of the lower-end pitchers, they don't have a lot of history versus the teams they're facing, so it was a little bit more difficult today to pick the hitters. But in terms of the pitchers, we're just paying all the way up with Garrett Cole here at $11,000, averaging almost 39 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Oakland A's. He has pretty decent history versus their hitters in the past, although it's pretty limited history at that. Should be a favorable matchup for him, and maybe, a double-digit strikeout upside game, quality start, and a win. If we get that out of Garrett Cole, we're going to be very happy today overall. Then we move down to first base. You could also play him at third base. It's Yandy Diaz for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's $3,200, averaging over 9 fantasy points per game. Guy that's been hitting the ball really well as of late. Goes against the Boston Red Sox and Michael Wacha. Actually, his former teammate. He's 1 for 2 versus Wacha in his career. Could be a little bit of upside there today overall. Then we move down to third base with Ke'Bryan Hayes. It's his third game back since coming back from the IL. $2,400 is too cheap a price tag for him at this point in time. He's averaging just over 8.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Philadelphia Phillies. It's Bailey Falter today. Falter did have a decent start versus Pittsburgh team last time out, but he did give up a home run to Ke'Bryan Hayes, so could be some pretty good upside there as well. Then we're going to move down to shortstop with Bo Bichette. He's $2,800, which is too cheap of a price tag for him at this point in time. Been a little bit more hit or miss as of late, but he's still hitting the ball relatively well. I know he's been kind of dealing with that shoulder issue for a little while. Seems like it's kind of on the better side as of right now. It may never be full strength till after the season, but still hitting the ball a little bit better, as already mentioned. Goes against Los Angeles Angels today. It's Reed Detmers. Not the greatest season for him so far, and Bo Bichette has no history versus him, but at this cheap price tag, I like taking shots on Bo Bichette today. Then last but not least, we have Kyle Schwarber at $3,300, averaging just over 11.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's Bryce Wilson pitching today. And then Kyle Schwarber is also 1 for 3 versus him with a home run. So could be some pretty good upside there. Once again, likely batting leadoff for this Philadelphia Phillies team today. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $12,300 remaining, just under $3,100 per player. So there's still an opportunity to pay up for a player if that's something you really want to do, or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach. That's definitely viable on today's slate as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my article over at WeBetATS.com and talk about my top GPP stacks for today. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a good slate for pitchers. And then in terms of hitters, there's not a lot of history hitter-wise, so these are the top stacks that I do have. You could look at some other ones as well. But I do have the Toronto Blue Jays going against Reed Detmers of the Los Angeles Angels. Obviously, there's no history here. Blue Jays are a pretty good hitting lineup overall. Detmers hasn't been too great this season, so I do like the Blue Jays once again today. Then we have the Houston Astros Astros going against Kyle Bradish. Kyle Bradish is somebody I do like long term, but really hasn't done too much this year. He's kind of been hit or miss in terms of pitching. Should be a matchup that the Astros can take advantage of once again. Then we have the Philadelphia Phillies going against Bryce Wilson. Very limited sample size, but that sample size also is pretty good versus him. So I do not have a problem going right back to the Phillies once again today. And then last but not least, I have the Atlanta Braves on here going against Jose Quintana of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's pitched pretty well this year. He did have a poor start versus the Braves earlier this year, and some of these hitters do have decent history versus him in the past, albeit some of them are a little bit more hit or miss history, but could be a good day for this Braves lineup once again overall. But with that being said, these are my core 5 picks as well as top GPP stacks for today, August 26th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on today's slate, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks, whether it's someone from my top GPP stacks, or whether it's a completely different player you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS, primarily MLB DFS at this point in time. But once we get back around to the NFL and NBA regular seasons, I will be covering those two sports as well. And then with that being said, if you're a new or current subscriber who's yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily MLB DFS videos just like this. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.